This is my face if it was more masculine. I look like I commit crimes. That picture is just terrifying. I would not date me as a man. My first time properly using AI, and I decided to use it to tell me how to be more beautiful. And for context, I've modeled for over 10 years, and in that time it's been photographers, makeup artists, stylists, agents telling me what looks good on me. And I realized AI is really in our lives right now. I did something called a facial analysis with a brand called Qoves. You send in some photos and then some information about yourself, and then it looks at your features, your measurements, your proportions against research data. Then it gives you recommendations on how to elevate your appearance specific to your face. These are the pictures that I sent in from different angles, and what's interesting is that I had braids, and now of course I have my afro textured hair. I wonder if my results would change if I sent in my hair the way it is right now. So based on these images, this is the facial assessment that Qoves has sent back to me. So when it comes to facial dimorphism, I'm leaning more to the feminine side. So dimorphism just means whether your face is more masculine or feminine. I'm more feminine, and I'm happy with that. It says what makes me appear more feminine are my large round eyes, very full lips, and a narrow U-shaped jaw and rounded set chin. I don't like the way they use the word set to describe my chin because I only see one chin, but it is what it is. And then it starts to break down and highlight the difference between my masculine and feminine features. So it says my eyebrows lean more feminine because they sit really high with a soft arch, medium thickness and neat edges. The details of this are absolutely phenomenal. I actually had my eyebrows semi-permanently tattooed like a year ago, and personally I feel like my eyebrows are more masculine because I don't like the way that the lady did it. They put like a really harsh line here, and I felt like I look really masculine with that line. So it's interesting that it says that I'm still a little bit more feminine, but I would have liked to have to do more bristles. You know what I mean, girls. My cheeks are considered feminine, not very feminine, just feminine, and it's because I have clear bone projection. My eyes are considered very feminine because I have uplifted eyes with visible sclera, which is just the whites of your eyes, and dark irises. So then I'm like, does that mean blue and green eyes would also be considered feminine features? Or then does that mean they're considered masculine features? Or is it against all the other features on the face? My report says my nose has a straight, non-convex profile, average width, and slightly upturned nose tip. So it reads as refined and relatively delicate compared to a more rugged male type nose. My lips are also considered very feminine, very full, slightly upper heavy, strong projection in the profile, which I agree, which creates pronounced classically feminine focal point in the lower third of my face. And my jaw is only slightly feminine because it's narrow U-shaped curve, mild definition, no masseter bulk, so it supports my face without looking broad and angular the way a more masculine jaw would look. My hair apparently is also feminine. It says I have dark, medium density, natural curly hair, strange, worn in structured braids, which frame my face in a controlled way that reads slightly feminine without overwhelming my features. I love that they've managed to differentiate between my braids and my actual hair. That's pretty crazy for me. So it's small changes to my femininity. This part is a bit of a jump scare. This is what my face would look like if it was more feminine. I mean, I think I just look younger and my cheeks are fuller. On the other hand, this is my face if it was more masculine, and I think I look like a jump scare and I look like I commit crimes for a living. I would not date me as a man. That picture is just terrifying. And in terms of averageness, Qoves gave me a score of 74 out of 100. And this doesn't mean how attractive or unattractive you are. It actually just measures how close your facial proportions match the average face of your demographic. So that means that in my demographic, I match the average face to a score of 74%. And in terms of proportionality, they gave me a score of 85%. This is essentially a score of my facial harmony and how my facial features work together, like whether my eyes, my nose, and my lips are balanced relative to one another. And I think to myself, like, I would love to see the person who scores 100 out of 100 for that one. And the only person that can come to my head right now is Candy Swanepoel. Do you agree? Anyway, I scored 79 out of 100 for facial symmetry, which Qoves classifies as high. That makes me happy. According to Qoves, I have an oval face shape, and then it goes into detail about the specifics of what gives me that oval face shape. You guys have to pause to read because the detail it goes into is just mind-blowing. For example, here it's telling me that my lips are very full and they measure them down to the millimeter. And it also detected that my lips are very dry, bell-shaped, and upturned. It goes into my natural lip color and then even the percentage of the plumpness of my lips. That's just crazy. You guys have to pause to read that. And now for the fun part. This is what Qoves suggests I can do to achieve my full aesthetic potential. So for my hair, they said that they recommend keeping my braided hairstyle. Oops. And they felt that the length frames my face well and helps draw attention to my eyes and lips. This is crazy because I was just saying that I don't think I'll ever have long hair again. I just think the shorter hair suits me way better, but you guys can let me know in the comments. Qoves also said that I should keep my scalp moisturized and focus on maintaining healthy, well-groomed hair rather than making any major changes. Again, oops. I wonder what Qoves would think about my hair now, actually. My eyes, on the other hand, they said are my strongest features. Focus on making them brighter, softer, more rested, rather than making any major changes. Personally, I would love longer lashes, and I'm actively working on that, and I'm using serums. So when I find one that works, I'll let you know. For eyebrows, they suggested I would look better with slightly softer, rounded shape to create a more feminine look, along with slightly filling in my eyebrows and adding more definition. They also suggested that brow Botox would be a good suggestion for me to achieve more lifted eyebrows. I've only ever done Botox once because they gave it to me for free. I don't think it did very much for my chin. I've never tried it for my eyebrows. You guys let me know if that actually works. They want me to have a higher arch in my eyebrows, which makes sense. My eyebrows just go like this, you know, so they want me to be more like archy. For lashes, they recommend focusing on length and volume. I agree. Qoves suggests lash growth serum. I agree. With light, natural-looking extensions that are longer towards the outer corners to emphasize my eye shape. I will do that. They also flagged my under eye area and they recommend hydration, brightening, and using things like hyaluronic acid and more advanced treatments like polynucleotides. I've always had a problem with my under eyes. They are darker than the rest of my skin. Concealer is my best friend. I've never thought to use hyaluronic acid or polynucleotides. I just use vitamin C, and that hasn't really been working, I guess. So I will be trying the hyaluronic, and maybe down the line I'll try the polynucleotides. If you guys have tried them, let me know. For my lips, the main thing highlighted is my uneven pigmentation, particularly in my upper lip. Their view was that by improving my overall lip color, I'd have a bigger impact than changing the structure of my lips themselves. I've always wanted to have even toned lips because my top lip naturally is darker than my bottom lip. So you will rarely see me without like lipstick or something on because I just don't like the way it looks. And I know it's my natural look and I should love it, blah, blah, blah. But I've always wanted to change it. So I've been looking into lip blushing. And then when I was reading this, they also suggested lip blushing and they recommend focusing on hydration. So it made me feel validated. That I will also be doing. They also briefly mention that I use a very small amount of Botox on the corners of my mouth to create a slightly more upturned resting expression, although they presented that as entirely optional. I like the suggestion, maybe in future, but for now I don't think that's something that I've ever even really thought of. For my skin, they said texture, hydration, and evening out my skin tone. Those are the things that I need to work on. They said I need a constant routine built around gentle cleansing, hydration, vitamin C, SPF daily, and tretinoin, which I'm already using. And they also recommended glycolic acid a few times a week for smoother texture and occasional salicylic acid around my chin to help congestion and clogged pores. For additional improvements, they suggested microneedling, hydrofacials, chemical peels, and polynucleotides for texture, pigmentation, and just overall skin health. That's probably something I will definitely be doing. The only thing that I don't like is they don't necessarily tell you how to do it, how often to do it, or when to do it. So I have to figure that out for myself or go to a dermatologist to educate me on when and how to use those things, because I know you can't just use them all at once. So what do I think about all of this? Most of their suggestions are focused on like refinements like correction and things like improving skin quality, evening out your skin, natural lip color, enhancing lashes, you know, that kind of stuff, What I found interesting is that the report isn't really telling you how to change my face. It's suggesting small improvements that I could make to enhance existing features, which I really appreciate. So my takeaway from this experience is that creating the best aesthetic version of yourself isn't necessarily about like dramatic transformations, but it's more about like better personal grooming and making small adjustments over time to make a bigger impact, rather than going in, doing a one big one and done, and then turning out to be a completely different person, which I really appreciate. So would I do this again? Yes, I would. Would I recommend it to people? 100% I'd recommend it to people. If you're confused about what to do and you want to improve your appearance, or you just want to feel a little bit more confident, I think it's worth your time. And yeah, I'm glad I did it actually. I definitely recommend it. I've tagged it down below, and I'll see you in my next video.